Hi, this is Timothy Trujillo with First Medicines, and I'd like to welcome you to this program on Mindbody CPR, the development, dissection, and deployment of the 5-minute miracle. I'd like to thank you for being here, and I'd also like to thank my dear friend and Mayan twin flame, Martin Castor Peterson, for putting this program together, especially in such a remarkable and rapid way to meet the needs of our society at this time. I'd also like to thank my co-presenters, many of whom are dear friends of mine, others yet to be developed friendships, but I want you to know that I am honored to be in your company. So let's talk a little bit about this method. When we refer to mind-body, we are referring to the relationship between our consciousness, our perceptions, our considerations, and the way our body is functioning. And we've used the term mind-body to refer to actually no disconnection between the two. We hear a lot of talk about the mind-body connection. What we know is that it is not a single connection, but a matrix of different systems: nervous system, immune system, endocrine system, that all work collaboratively to keep our system in balance. And that method is programmed to respond to cues in the environment. Often those cues can be alarming, and that's a good thing. We need to be able to get out of danger's way when it's necessary. Sometimes that system can be kind of stuck on, and that can cause a kind of hyperarousal state that leads to distress. And so this method, the 5-minute miracle, and again referred to as Mindbody CPR, and we'll get into some of the details of that in a minute. This method was developed in disaster zones. It was developed working on the ground and in the rubble with multiple disasters. And it's been employed over time in a variety of different ways. So let me go back and tell you, I'd like to just first of all share with you the story of this method's development. And first, let's say, in referencing back to what I said a moment ago, that CPR means cardiopulmonary resuscitation. And the reason that this was deemed by one very well-known healthcare historian as Mindbody CPR is because she saw that this method had the same equivalent benefit as cardiopulmonary resuscitation. First, in that cardio is about the heart, pulmonary is about breathing, and resuscitation is about restoring from a state of collapse or dismay or distress. And so in this way, this method helps individuals to calm their state of arousal, to access resources of empowerment, and then to integrate them into their system to move forward. Now, as I said, this method was developed and really forged in disaster zones. But I want to go back to about 10 years before that happened, because as with many significant developments or discoveries, what we call the overnight sensation, we know that it was a very, very long day before that overnight that occurred. So the method really began in 1995 when I began conducting a series of self-hypnosis workshops at AIDS Project Los Angeles, helping people to cope with the challenges of living with HIV. This was after developing methods to help individuals at end of life who were dying from AIDS to use the tool of hypnosis to be more comfortable and require less pain meds at the end of life, to have a more peaceful departure for particularly their loved ones. I then commenced these workshops at AIDS Project Los Angeles, and through these workshops I learned from the attendees what their needs were, and through study found ways that we could actually develop a specific protocol to help individuals apply this method in a variety of areas in their life to keep their systems strong. And we found that one of the biggest areas that individuals needed to apply this was over the distress of diagnosis and coping with the illness itself. And so trauma recovery and distress management became a cornerstone of my entire work from 1995. Conducting these workshops, it was very kind of laid out and programmed after a period of time. But since we would meet with a group of about 15 guys at AIDS Project Los Angeles at the David Geffen Center there in Vine Avenue in Hollywood, I became accustomed to conducting these group processes just kind of off the cuff. We had ideas, and any good hypnotist will be able to just run a process based on what the observed needs are at that time. And so this is what I was doing over this 5-year period. In about 2000, APLA closed its doors, that center shut down, and my workshops were moved to AIDS Healthcare Foundation's facilities. And over time, with these facilities, we developed not only the self-hypnosis training group, which was called Mindbody Mastery, but we also developed a program, a group hypnosis program, actually called the Hypnosis Group, that occurred at lunchtime at different facilities that AHF operated. And one of those programs was actually in the conference room in the research department of AIDS Healthcare Foundation. And what's notable about that is that this was the agency that did a lot of testing with the new AIDS protocols in 95, 96, and actually helped to transform the treatment of AIDS from a kind of very, very serious, potentially fatal condition to a manageable chronic condition like it is today. Well, something that was a little curious about these meetings, especially the lunchtime meetings at AHF, was that people would kind of straggle in. We had a 1-hour window, but people would come in, and often there were, lunch events that, people would bring their food. And so people would come in and they'd talk about their issues of concern, and as I listened to what was going on, I started to formulate in my mind, what kind of method, just as every good operator will when working with a client, what kind of method am I going to use here? What's going to benefit this client? Where are we going to go with this work? And so over time, with these weekly meetings, I would find that I had about 10 minutes at the end of the session to do some kind of hypnotic process. And I noticed a kind of pattern of the way that I would conduct that process. And that pattern was that I would induce the hypnotic relaxation. First, maybe through eye fixation, a kind of formal induction, or maybe just have them close their eyes and focus on their breathing, which is a rather passive hypnotic induction. What I always did was relax them a little bit. And I remember vividly that there was a window in the back of that room. And I always, in my mind, kind of imagine that group sort of relaxing and then drifting up from their rest and drifting out that window into their world, out to find whatever it was that they needed, out to address and apply that calm wherever they needed to apply it, and then to return again after that reset and to incorporate that state of being into their physical state of being there in the room at that time. And that kind of just became a practice for me. And so we move along then as time passed. I had a desire, a very strong desire, to carry this method out from Los Angeles into the developing world. And I had a wonderful opportunity and an invitation from Wilda Spalding of the International Human Rights Consortium to sit on a round table at the United Nations in Geneva and talk about the work that we were doing in order to get it out into the world. Well, short of the story is that I was encouraged through that event to go out and do a pilot project. And in the course of that, we had established, doing the pilot project in Guatemala, had already done a kind of needs assessment trip down there to see what we could do. And just as we were preparing to do that project in Guatemala, the Asian tsunami of December 2004 occurred. And through a matter of circumstances, particularly as I observed the kind of traumatic, distressed stares or gazes of the individuals and of the relief workers who were helping with tsunami recovery, I felt that we really had something to offer them. I had developed a secure, a confident ability to help people move past these trauma states and to recover from them. And so after some changes, I ended up in First Medicines, leading a First Medicines project team in South India with a local individual there who set up a project for us to go into different fishing villages. And we had initially gone just to teach these individuals how to use Reiki methods, how to calm themselves, how to teach these methods to others, and how to perhaps develop a tradable skill that they could use for their own economic development. What we experienced there was beyond my wildest expectations. I went in with hope and arrived to find just a remarkable response. What we did, and is part of the whole ethos of my practice now, is that we had a team that would do massage, that would do hand massage, and we would sit individuals in these chairs, sometimes right on the rubble of old homes and tsunami devastation, people whose lives were really, really torn up. They had lost family members, they had lost everything. One of them was even an 80-year-old man who had spent 2 weeks in a coma. They thought he was dead after tsunami. And what I observed was truly phenomenal when we met force with force. When we met the force of care that was so overwhelming, massaging the hands and feet, guiding a person through the same method of calming and relaxing, accessing resources, and then bringing those resources back into their state of being, into their waking world. While we had hands on them, we were massaging, we saw them respond in such a remarkable way. They would stand up and say, "I'm ready to go back to my life now. Now I can eat. My pains have gone away." And these individuals were not sleeping, they were not eating, they had strange pains, something that we deemed the tsunami trauma syndrome. And I was so astounded by how effective this simple method was that when I returned to the States, I was talking with a friend of mine, Judith Simon Prager, and I said, "Judith, I would like to make this method available to more people. I'm going to write a script, and the script I'm going to put on a postcard. It will be like those little American Sign Language cards. This is the one that I got when I was a teenager, and I still have it. And I was always really impressed that you could learn a whole language just from a little card. And so I said, "Judith, I'm going to make a card. I'm going to write a script. It's going to be a short script that can be read in about 5 minutes. I'm going to put it on a card, and I'm going to paper the world with the card." And this is that postcard of the 5-minute miracle. So having produced that, then not long after, Hurricane Katrina swept through New Orleans. And eventually we put together a team and went to New Orleans to help with the recovery there. Now, one thing that I discovered when I arrived there was we did not have the luxury that we had in India of having the villagers come to a clinic for a couple of hours and learn these methods as we did the treatments. Individuals in New Orleans, in St. Bernard Parish, where we were working at emergency communities, these individuals came to that camp for meals and for supplies. And they were there to get what they needed and get back to work, mucking out their houses and trying to set their lives straight. So I had recorded the 5-Minute Miracle, just read it into a little recorder and then put it onto a CD. And so I had a folding reclining chair, and I put that little that reclining chair and that CD and a set of headphones in the chow line, far enough back that people wouldn't be distressed about missing their food. And I just made a little card that said, "Stressed, take 5." Well, the people were really blown away with what their response was. The people, I include myself, because I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared to see how remarkably effective the combined effect of holding individuals with specific hand positions that come from Reiki practice, while they were listening to the recording on headphones and just having an internal experience with them, we were able to literally reboot their system. And individuals that were in deep distress, even one individual that said he was ready to throw it all in, got out of that chair saying, "Now I can go back to my life. Now I feel like I can get back on track." We saw a similar thing happen in Oklahoma City after the Great Moore tornado in 2013, when we not only offered this resource as part of the medical team at the First Baptist Church Recovery Center, but actually went out into the field and delivered this method to individuals that were still out in the field suffering from the tornado in its aftermath. And what we observed, again, effectiveness, effectiveness, effectiveness. And so I took this method, and since then, now almost these, it's been 10 years anyway, longer than that, that I've been going out to health fairs and offering this as a free stress relief treatment. And we offer it to everyone as a free treatment because we know that everyone can use a little stress management. Everybody understands that. People who are in traumatic distress don't know where to get help. They're out there walking around, in their days, experiencing the crisis that they're in. And we have, over the years, repeatedly seen individual after individual just take their turn in the chair and get up from the chair with the same remarkable report. And so we always had a little CD. Remember these guys? He used to put it in a player. It played music. So first we put it on CDs. Then, of course, the World Wide Web developed in the way that it did, and so we developed a site, a kind of online portal to access this at firstmedicines.org, and there will be more information about that later and in your handout material of how to access that. And then made it available for people to just download it onto their devices. Along the way, we also saw how people were using this. Individuals who conducted meditation groups reported to me that they were playing this as part of their meditation group, therapists playing in their rooms, and we even had a project then we did it remotely in Cairo during the Arab Spring. My friend Etienne Vanier, who was there at the time, we were working on doing some training programs, and when the Arab Spring happened and the events of Tahrir Square, we decided I couldn't go to Egypt at that time, so we did these programs remotely. As a consequence of that, we translated the 5-Minute Miracle into Arabic. We've also have translated it into Spanish and Japanese, and those different languages are available on the webpage as well. And so there we had a system that was ready to go. And as I said, I've seen individual reports over and over again of how individuals have accessed that and benefited from it. And one notable one was I was watching the evening news and saw a report about some refugees from Syria who were in a relief camp in Libya, coping with their distress. And I just happened to get the guy's name, went to Facebook, saw that he was there, sent him a message, sent him the link, and immediately we had this in the camp, people able to use it on their devices right where they were. So that's the kind of expansion and the kind of delivery that we've experienced with this. So have I sold you on it? I know even promising a 5-minute miracle is a bit audacious, but I wouldn't say it. I couldn't say it had I not witnessed and experienced it myself over and over again. Even for me, whenever before coming in here to sit down and do this program, I actually listen to the program myself. And so I always say, it's no good talking about ice cream if you're not going to share it. So let's have a little experience of the 5-minute miracle for you. So you can listen to the program just at any time as it is, except when you're driving or operating heavy machinery, of course. But I found that there's a way that if we're listening to it, we can also experience these physical benefits that are a part of this. This listening and experiencing internally at the same time that we're experiencing some signaling externally is in Chinese medicine what would be referred to as a yin-yang harmonizing treatment. And so using the hand positions helps, in hypnotic parlance we say it helps anchor the information to the body. And in Chinese medicine we would say that it helps to harmonize the system. So go ahead then, where you are, you can sit back and be comfortable. And I recommend sometimes you can place your hands over your head, in the back of your head. Very commonly I just place one hand over the heart and one hand over the abdomen, perhaps right over the area of the navel. And so sitting there now, go ahead and close your eyes and focus on your breathing. Every time you exhale, you naturally relax. Tune into that relaxation and allow yourself to relax more with each exhalation. With each breath, you may allow a pleasant color to give you a sense of strength and calm. Allow all the sounds around you and every thought to cause you to relax more. Imagine that you have imaginary faucets attached to your hands and feet. Visualize or imagine those faucets opening wide to allow any tension or discomfort to flow easily out of your body. In your mind, visualize, and in your body, experience this flow becoming eventually a trickle, and then just a drip. You can also imagine a faucet attached at any location on your body that you feel you would benefit from greater relaxation or comfort now. As you continue to release, just allow every muscle and every nerve to become completely relaxed, comfortable, and at ease. As you continue to relax, allow a light, airy sensation to flow through you, causing you to feel totally weightless. Allow this sensation to cause you to feel as though you are floating upward, higher and higher, safely tethered, like a helium balloon or kite attached to a long string. As you drift, allow this sensation to cause you to release all cares, concerns, or discomforts. Allow yourself to drift in your mind to a very pleasant place, a place where you feel safe, secure, comfortable, and in complete control. Allow yourself to experience these qualities of safety, security, comfort in every area of your life. Now I am going to count from 20 to 1. As I do, allow your comfort and relaxation to double with each number. As I reach the number 1, allow yourself to settle restfully right where you are. Allow yourself to remain relaxed and perfectly comfortable from head to toe. 20, 19, 18. Now drifting and settling. 17, 16, 15. So relaxed and so at ease. 14, 13, 12, 11. Letting calm comfort be yours now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now let yourself just settle perfectly. Now I'm going to count from 1 to 5. As I do, allow yourself to return to full wakefulness. Allow those faucets now to fill you with strength, confidence, and well-being. And on the number 5, allow your eyes to open. 1. This calm comfort is always yours. 2. You express it in every area of your life. 3. Feel strength moving through you. Feel confident and more alert. 4. Your eyes now feel as though they have been rinsed in cool spring waters that are refreshing every cell in your body. 5. Let your eyelids open. Take a deep breath and feel a peaceful calm throughout your entire body now. All right, so as you emerge, hope that was pleasant for you. It's kind of nice just to read it. And I've actually recommended to individuals sometimes they just read it to yourself. Read it aloud. And that itself can give some benefit. So I'd like to hear your comments on that. You can leave those comments in the comment section and hear kind of how you responded to that. So let's look at the method now and kind of break it down into its elements so you understand what I'm up to with this. So let's look at the first line. It says, close your eyes and focus on your breathing. That's an induction, and I mentioned it earlier. That's a passive hypnotic induction. What we've done is we've redirected the attention from the external world into the internal world. So we have restricted information and we have already started to produce a kind of what is called technically dissociation from the environment. And then we say every time you exhale, you naturally relax. So that is true. It's true. And what we call this, when we exhale, it's a good time to talk about this. When we exhale, we activate our parasympathetic nervous system, our relaxation response. We activate our vagus nerve system. And we're hearing a lot now about vagal tone, heart rate variability, and polyvagal theory. And these methods that are now becoming so well known for their benefits have already been baked into this process. So it's true that every time we exhale, we naturally relax. Every time we exhale, we slow down our heart just a little bit. Every time we inhale, we speed it up just a little bit. So it's good to do both. And we'll get to the points of that at the end here. But every time we exhale, we naturally relax. We're going to see how we keep taking that deeper and deeper. And it's really true that one of the simplest things that you can do to benefit your whole life is practiced exhalation. Just let that exhalation glide and ride that breath all the way, letting your whole body relax along the way. Now, because we say it's true, this in hypnotic parlance is what's known as a truism, because the individual in their mind says, yeah, that's kind of true. And when they accept it as being true, it becomes a part of their way of being at that time. We're also employing another method that is called utilization. And utilization is simply recognizing what's there and using it. And so breath is one of the easiest methods for us to utilize, and particularly attaching this truism of every time you exhale, you naturally relax. Now we're saying tune into that relaxation and allow yourself to relax more with each exhalation. Once we have called their attention to what they're actually experiencing, this is a kind of bodily mindfulness. Many people I have found are not actually tuned into what their body is experiencing. For some people, especially when they're anxious, when they're in distress, they will feel a kind of numbness sometimes. And so we want people, this is what Peter Levine called the felt sense. We want people to have a sense of what they're experiencing. And so this tune into that relaxation and allow yourself, it engages them in the process, and we are already training the individual on how to use these methods at any place, at any time. Let's move on. With each breath, you may allow a pleasant color to give you a sense of strength and calm. Now, first, this is a visualization because we're asking people to use their seeingness. Their eyes are closed. Well, what did Lennon say? Seeing is easy with eyes closed. But what they're seeing is their sensibility. And the use of color, and I really got to give a nod to my dear friend and a First Medicine's associate, Joseph Popolo, who utilized this color breathing method. He called therapeutic color breathing a lot. And one notable case was a fellow who had a lot of difficulty swallowing his meds. This is when we were working with AIDS Healthcare Foundation. And he found by just sharing this method of breathing in and out color and choosing the colors, utilizing the colors, really gave a kind of emotional texture, if you will, to what the individual is experiencing. Allow all the sounds around you and every thought you have to cause you, there's not a to in there, and there really should be, to cause you to relax more. You might know, and I've taught hypnosis classes just from this script, but in my basic hypnosis class on methodology, this is the test. We go over this script and individuals tell me every method that's being used here, and this, of course, you'll say, allow all the sounds around you and every thought. That's utilization. And we're utilizing elements that may disservice in a certain way. One really remarkable element of this, when I did this project in New Orleans, St. Bernard Parish, the first thing I did was teaching this workshop using this method and teaching the volunteers how to use it to help calm them and use it to help others. And a couple of the volunteers had told me, Timothy, you know, since we've been here, we're sleeping in a tent and we hear the refrigerator trucks going all night long and the bugs are going everywhere and we haven't had a good night's sleep since we arrived. They met me in the chow line the next morning. They said, Timothy, it's remarkable. We had the best night's sleep. We just used this method. We said the sound of those refrigerator compressors, the bugs, everything causes us to just drift into peaceful sleep. So that is, again, applying a method immediately after learning it, applying it and benefiting from it. And it is that other thing, and this is something that hypnotists use in managing what we call white coat hypertension or needle phobia, is we actually condition the individual to respond to what was previously a distressing trigger, either the white coat or the needle, with a relaxation response. And so what we're doing here is we are taking the cues, as I said earlier, that may in the past have been distressing cues, and we're turning them into cues, sounds, images that serve and benefit their well-being. Next, imagine that you have imaginary faucets. I know I repeated the word. I looked for something better, but it's just imaginary. We're just imagining this and imagining and imagining and imagining. So they are imaginary faucets. They're not real faucets. Although you can go dig a little deeper, we use faucets in our whole being. All of our skin has pores. All of our cells have pathway proteins that allow things to move in and out. So the valve or the portal, I like the sense of the valve because it can work both ways, to let things out and let things in. This is also one of the benefits of using the faucet. It's a very, very, very effective pain relieving technique because it is a metaphor of release. But it's also an object that we, especially these days, have contact with many, many times throughout the day. We know how faucets work. We know what they do when we utilize them. And so that use of the faucet is a very, very powerful hypnotic metaphor for release, for draining, and we're going to see later on for restoring as well. Visualize or imagine those faucets opening wide to allow any tension or discomfort to flow easily out of the body. In your mind, visualize. In your body, see how we're taking just the visualization. We've already incorporated the body physicality, that felt sense in your body. It's to have that same experience, this flow, to become eventually a trickle and then just a drip. Now, we're suggesting a progressive release that happens by degrees, so that eventually it's just a drip. Now, my wife, Lenise, of course, who's sort of behind all of this, she reports that sometimes when she opens those faucets, it'll flow like a big, giant geyser, you know? Sometimes she'll open those faucets and it will be like, she'll say there's bowling balls and there's houses and a big giant truck, whatever, flying. You know, that's a creative mind. Let your mind be creative. Let that faucet allow you to release whatever you need to release at that time. And then you can also imagine a faucet attached at any location. Again, we're teaching how to utilize this method in different ways on the body. And that is, I feel that you would benefit from greater relaxation and release now. So we're installing and instructing self-care methods. One of the really, I say remarkable a lot, and it all is remarkable. That's why I'm saying this. That's why I'm talking about it, is making a remark. Is that many people will listen to the 5-Minute Miracle one time and come back and report using these methods from learning them from one listen. So it's not just an intervention, it's an education. As you continue to release, just allow every muscle and every nerve to become completely relaxed, comfortable, and at ease. And see how this is in hypnotic parlance, we just call that compounding. We're going to get more into this compounding where we just keep going, keep going. Oh, that was nice, do it again. Oh, you're going to see when we do the countdown, we double with each number. All right? And again, as you continue to release, allow every muscle and nerve, this comes back again to what I mentioned earlier as vagal toning, something that we desperately need to practice and master at this time. As you continue to relax, see how I've suggested another truism there, allow a light, airy sensation to flow through you, causing you to feel totally weightless. Now, gang, let's stop right here because this really is the nugget. I I worked with individuals with very serious pain. I talked about working with the HIV/AIDS community, and in the first night we met for a needs assessment, an individual asked me, will this help me with my peripheral neuropathy? And I said, well, if you spell it, I'll tell you next week. And it turned out that in fact hypnosis was incredibly effective at helping individuals manage their peripheral neuropathy. It was so effective, in fact, that eventually I was invited to do a hospital pilot study on using the same self-hypnosis protocol to help individuals with chronic pain from spinal cord injury. We're talking about real, very serious nerve pain from the level of injury down that some reported to me morphine took it from a 9 to an 8.5. And I watched individuals in this study repeatedly bring their reported pain signal down to 0. And the way that they did that was to cultivate the sense of flotation. There's a classic hypnotic induction called the Wahlberg hand levitation. And that hand levitation, we suggest the hand getting lighter and lighter and beginning to float as though all on its own. It's a suggestion of what we call a subconscious response. We're not moving the hand is moving as though all on its own. But I noticed something curious. It was a kind of an accidental discovery in my practice. Somebody had severe pain in their foot, so I was using a distraction technique to have them focus on their hand and do a hand levitation. Naturally, the pain went away, but as I saw this happening over and over again, I realized something was going on when individuals experienced the sense of flotation. And we got close to testing to find out what's going on. My suspicion is we are releasing endorphins during that time because there's really endorphins, anandamide, also known as endocannabinoid, serotonin, dopamine, all of these, this whole cocktail that provides the sense of well-being and the freedom from distress and discomfort. This is changing the chemistry of the body. And so this hand flotation method, even, I'll tell you, even individuals, some of these that were quadriplegic, we would just use the finger. Even if the hand didn't float, the idea itself caused that sensation. And we've seen that over and over and over again with the practice of the 5-minute miracle. There is a component of it that we'll get into later, and that's in the Polyvagal Theory, that we talked about the vagal toning. And in Polyvagal Theory, that vagus nerve has 2 pathways. It has the dorsal vagal that goes down the back and innervates the gut, and the ventral vagal that comes down through the neck innervates the heart and face. So our face is telling everyone what's in our heart. So we now know this phenomena of anesthesia that's been long been a part of hypnotic wonders. I think is connected to this deep relaxation of dorsal vagal response that naturally desensitizes the body and produces anesthesia. All right, let's read on with this. Allow this sensation to cause you to feel as though you're floating upward, higher and higher, safely tethered. It's very important when you produce dissociation like this, if you're going to let people drift, give them a tether. Give them something that they can connect to. Some people can have a little bit of distress. They don't want to be floating. They've been floating around forever. They need to be grounded. So tie the balloon to something solid before you let them drift. Safely tethered like a helium balloon or kite attached to a long string. That kite attached to a long string, by the way, comes from some yoga classes I took in India on the rooftop of a little hospital there. And Sri Lati, our instructor at the end when we were doing our Shavasana at the end, she would say, now let yourself drift like a kite on a long string. Dance upon the wind. I just loved that. Every day I would float high above Chennai, and so that's a little bit of yoga in Chennai that is in this script. Allow yourself to drift. Allow this sensation to cause you to release all cares, concerns, and discomforts. Allow yourself to drift in your mind to a very pleasant place. This, now we get into cultivating a sense of place. And what are the qualities of this sense of place? A place where you feel safe, secure, comfortable, and in complete control. We're giving individuals these qualities, and people will bounce around. They'll try to find a place until they find what is exactly that. Now, what is very important about this is I recently learned that in storing memories, there are two critical components in the storage of a memory. That is the sense or feeling that we're having at the time, which is the major modulator of memory, and the sense of place. Place is a reference. And we can come back to what we said earlier about the environmental cues, those environmental signals, and how we cultivate those so that they serve us or that they serve those that we're helping. So we get those resources and we get them on board. And it's often a reference that a person has had before, so they're refreshing a sensibility. And it's, again, another truism. It's something that they had, maybe they forgot about, maybe they haven't been in touch with for a while, and now we're bringing it back into activity. Allow yourself to experience these qualities of safety, security, comfort, every area of your life, giving a kind of universal application. We call it kind of universal suggestion. This works everywhere at all times, no matter what you're doing. Now I'm going to count from 20 to 1. As I do, allow your comfort and relaxation to double with each number. And that's what I mentioned earlier. We do the countdown. I love these countdowns. They'll be used in different ways, sometimes engaging the individual with walking down a flight of stairs or riding down an escalator, going down an elevator, so that there's a sense of descent. I just do the countdown, and I like to let these countdowns be as passive as I can, because it's during this time we've mixed all the ingredients together. It's time to bake the cake. And so we're going to use this countdown to help the individual do what Dan Siegel calls integration, to bring all of these elements into ourselves as a part of ourselves. And we're using this doubling with each number. If we double with each number, then we know that becomes not just progressive relaxation, but exponential relaxation. So then as we count down, I don't need to read all of this, except, as I reach the number 1, allow yourself to settle. Allow yourself to remain relaxed, perfectly calm from head to toe. So we're giving more suggestions of what we want them to experience. 20, 19, 18, drifting and settling. So we're interspersing a little bit of language here. So relaxed and so at ease. Letting calm comfort be yours now. But you'll notice when I get to the number 10, no more words. It's only numbers. This is what I call intent without content. We're just giving the opportunity for the person to experience and drift, drift, drift. And then we give them a little bit of time just to sort of let that set. And then the awakening. And this is a classic hypnotic awakening. Now, I want to just put a note in here. Even though this script was developed through the hypnotic method, even though it is a hypnotic process in and of itself, when I use it, it's just a stress relief process. We don't have to say, look deep into your eyes, look deep into my eyes. We don't have to say, I'm going to use hypnosis now. That can sometimes people, well, what's going to happen? I'm going to turn into a dog. What am I going to do? How's this going to be? I'm going to blurt out, all the things that people can sometimes get a little, concerned about when they think they're going to get hypnotized. And we have to, reassure them, if you blurt it out, it's because it's time to talk about it. Or, if you're going to turn into a dog, well, dogs have great qualities. How would that benefit you now? I mean, we can address all of those concerns. But when we use this publicly, we bypass all of that by just using this as a stress management process. But we do have a very formal hypnotic awakening method at the end here, and that's the 5 count up. I'm going to count from 5 to 1. As I do, allow yourself to return to full wakefulness. Allow those faucets now to fill you with strength. That's what I said earlier. The faucet is a valve. We reverse the flow of the valve. This great insight I learned from one of my clients years ago who was experiencing fatigue. So we filled him up with strength. As we're doing that, again, from Polyvagal Theory, we want to train a person and condition them to move, because everybody is in this sympathetic state all the time. They're really, in distress, and we need that, like I said, but we need also to balance that out. And so this method allows us to bring a person out of that sympathetic fight or flight state into a passive dorsal vagal state through the deep relaxation, a little ventral vagal state through the engagement aspect of that. That ventral vagal is called the social engagement system, a little ventral vagal, but now we're actually also kind of arousing the system a little bit in a very controlled and purposeful way. This is utilizing that sympathetic system not as fight or flight, but more the get up and go. Let's bring this energy, let's bring this potential into your life. All right, and so allow it to remain. I'm going to count from 5 to 1. Allow yourself to return to full wakefulness. Allow those faucets to fill you with strength, confidence, and well-being. On the number 5, allow your eyes to open. We've already told them what's going to happen. Let's make it so. So 1, calm comfort is always yours. We've established that. 2, you express it in every area of your life. Universal application. 3, feel strength moving through you. Feel confident and more alert. Now we've settled. Now we can rebound and come back to action. 4, your eyes now feel sparkling. Your eyes now feel as though they have been rinsed in cool spring waters that are refreshing every cell in your body. I went into my regular spiel there. This is really important. This cool running spring water is refreshing. You know, when we awaken in the morning, we splash our face with some cool water. In this case, we're also giving a suggestion that every cell in the body is benefiting in the same way, so that we get refreshment and renewal and hydration to the system. And then 5, let your eyes open. Take a deep breath. When we take a deep breath, what did we say? You know, no grading on the exam, but referring to earlier, when we inhale, we activate the sympathetic system. We activate the get up and go system. Feel a peaceful calm. So look what we're doing there. We're taking a deep breath, but we're doing it with calm. And that is what we would definitely call a state of harmony. So that's the method. And now you can use it, but you can also use it with some clear understanding of exactly what you're doing and what's happening there. So in the handout, you will have this. I'm going to give you a PDF that will have this. It will be 2 sides of this. I'll leave the back side blank. I use this for promotional information, and you can do the same for whatever you're doing. Like I said, I have a lot of people that have used this in different ways in their practice and in their daily life. And so I encourage you to do the same thing. I remember I was at one health fair and a woman came up to me and said, "Timothy, I have listened to the 5-Minute Miracle every day for the last year and it has changed my life." And it goes back to the first thing I said when I started that workshop at AIDS Project Los Angeles. I started telling these individuals, if you will practice self-hypnosis for 5 minutes a day, your life will change. We know the manner and mechanism by which that change takes place now. And we know that this one precious client, she gave me the report that exactly that's what was happening. She was experiencing change by continued conditioning over time. You can go now to the website, firstmedicines.org, and there you will find the player where you can listen to this recording. You will be able to download it, put it on your device to share with others. As I said, it's available in different languages there. And you'll also find the script that you can download, and you'll see a little video that shows how to do this method and this treatment method for other individuals. So I invite and encourage you to check out those resources and share them with others. Use them in your life. I'll also let you know that you can also find other programs that I have developed. I have a series of training programs on the use of hypnosis in a variety of different ways, demonstration videos. You can find all of that information on my personal website, timothytrujillo.com. You'll also find a link there to purchase a hard copy of the book that I wrote about this whole work. It's mainly the trip and the project that was done in India, but it is called Tsunami Effect. It is a story of our times. And I'm going to make that available. You have to buy the hard copy through Amazon, but you I'm going to put an ebook available there to download on my site. And then I'll also give the coupon code of PASSION. So use the coupon code there to get 20% off of all of your purchase through the site. And as I said, there are programs there, audio programs for individuals to help them with their well-being, teaching self-hypnosis, etc. You'll see those. There's even a flute CD, flute music you can download there. But then there are also a series of training programs for practitioners to work on, mastering methods, to work on trauma recovery, and especially the healing and pain control. So I want to thank you, and I've done this program because it's my mission, the mission of First Medicines, to reduce suffering worldwide through traditional and integrative therapies. And we started with hypnosis, and it's expanded to many, many other areas that are beneficial and natural and accessible. And so we're fulfilling that mission here today by sharing this information with you. And again, I want to thank you, Martin Castor-Peterson, for putting this whole gig together and for asking me to be a part of it. And anyone who's ever experienced seeing me on camera or any place at all knows that it's really not a Timothy gig until the flute comes out. So I thought I would play for you a little song. A song of peace, a song of strength. All right, I thank you. Bring it all down at the end. Have a wonderful day. Again, resources are available. Share, 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 and use for your own benefit. I'm Timothy Trujillo, First Medicines.